Fuchs in the house coming to you on January 26th. Second video of the year. I've been very behind. Um, just other things going on in my life. Tomorrow I am starting a new job. It's been a very interesting scenario how that worked out. Um, Basically, 19 years at my other employment back in summer, and I decided, yeah, time to move on, see what else is out there. Um, January, back in December, I got the job offer, start tomorrow. So it's been a long month waiting for the job itself. So getting a little anxious and nervous on it. Um, Still like the move that I did. Who knows what tomorrow happens? But it's one of those things that I just want to see what else is out there and thank my friends, friend Pat, was with me a lot, talking to me, helping. So I appreciate that, and thank his wife for letting him out a little bit to have somebody to chit chat with, just on general stuff. Have somebody, to shoot stuff off of, talk about stuff in general. Um, Stay positive, don't get down, kind of. Um, Person, Mike Bukowski, kind of gave a interesting thing about, companies are different on how they, if you get hired, there may be a waiting process. And for my hiring, that went quick, but it's the getting the starting of the day took a little while. Um, and I'm just passing along this information. I think it's something that everybody's going to have something different. I recommend if you do. I hadn't done a resume in over 19 years, or that I had to send one out, and so I had a couple people asked if they want, hey, would take a look at it, and I had people that I usually don't talk with on a normal basis throw in their input, and I think it's a good idea. I had my niece, friend, some former coworkers take a look, and I kind of pieced together a resume out of what each person said. And then one of the recruiters I had a phone interview with, I kind of got a suggestion from her. And one thing she pointed out is for her, they're not looking for more than 10 years of work experience. That's what they care about most. And then don't put the years of your college down, is what was a suggestion. So that's with that information, I was able to send out a resume. I got responses. I only sent out about 20 resumes. I didn't really go all in. I kind of was looking for things that seemed interesting to me, something that I wanted to do. It is a job market right now for that. I had 5 phone interviews. I had one that where I got asked if I wanted one, and I turned that down just because of um, the distance and where it was located. Um, I was like, not so. It was one of those things too. It was at that time where it's like, yeah, I kind of do need a job, but I did have a couple. My first when I sent my resume out originally 3 times, but didn't have any proofreading on it, and so I didn't really gain responses on those 3. So I had it reread and redid it. And the first one I sent out, I got a phone interview, and the job was little pay was a little stronger, lower than I needed, and I was like, yeah, a little too strong for me to take that. I needed to be a little higher up. Okay. But if you're doing the job searching, is be patient. One thing is for me, I walked away from a job, so I didn't have no income. I totally recommend if you are gonna do something like that, where you're gonna, and you may have something lined up, but I recommend that you have 6 months' salary saved up in a rainy day fund. Um, I'm not talking like long term investment. I'm talking 6 months of money that you can get a hold of short term, that you're not going to get penalties or you're not worrying about the stock market. That's my suggestion. I know I'm no expert, but that's how it worked out for me. Um, Again, I still have to wait another a couple weeks for a paycheck, so definitely I recommend that you have 6 months of salary in a rainy day fund for this kind of thing. You're going to want a little extra for, stuff happens. Definitely, I guess your rainy day fund and a flood fund, I guess you want to say. So you do want to have that available for you. So I just wanted to share that. No expert on it, but patience is needed when you're doing job search. I was doing applying for jobs in the medical field, which I nothing to do, but I was looking at back office work. But I enjoyed it. I looked at some things, open up some past people if you're like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Give it a shot. I mean, who knows? I talked to some recruiters and got to get into a scenario where everything, played out. My niece, she suggested when you do a phone interview, dress up for it. Feel professional when you're on that phone interview. And I think that's a good idea instead of being in like sweatpants or a sweat t-shirt, or I mean a sweatshirt. Jeez. So that you have that professional feeling going on. Just a recommendation, hey, everybody's different in that, but it kind of did, help put you in a professional feeling setting, having that, where you're in your living room or whatever. So just passing along some advice and some thoughts of what I went through. Hopefully this works out. Getting a little nervous about it, but that's from here nor there. And I appreciate everybody out there. And once I get settled in, maybe some more videos will start popping out. That'll get some going. And I do have some movies to go over, so I guess my first half of this was job hunting, and second half is movie reviews. What is got a couple war movies, then some suspense, and then some film noir, 50s, 60s. One movie is basically done in the 80s and kind of goes the film noir route. I'm going to start with the war movies. First one, Flight of the Intruder, 1991, Vietnam war movie. Navy fighter pilot starts questioning why and what's the reason after his co-pilot gets killed. And so he kind of gets on a mission on himself, kind of, to, make a purpose for why he's fighting the war. Brad Johnson and William Dafoe are in this. Movie was 1991, and it got a 5.8, and I'm going to say it can be a 6. So out of this movie and the next one, yeah, definitely. There's some later on that I'll be talking about that are low rating, but this for a 5.8, I'll give Flight of the Intruder that it should be a 6. Next war movie, The Trench. It's a World War One movie. English soldiers, the last days before the Battle of the Somme, back in 1916. Movie was 1999, got a 6.0. Basically, yeah, just preparing to go into battle and what they're thinking and how preparing and thought process, how they're taking it in before they go to battle. Paul Nicholls is in this, and Daniel Craig. So this had a 6, and like I said, I'd give it to Flight of Intruder in this same kind of rating. Now I'm going to go into the film noir. dime store novels, 10-cent crime novels from back in the day, 50s, 60s. 1982 movie called Hammett. And I had a, basically, I was going to say, yeah, this was a movie that was more or less done with the basis of doing a movie from the 50s and 60s where the private eyes got to investigate what's going on and try to solve what's the crime. But I found out that this was a fictional account of a mystery writer, Dashiell Hammett. I guess he was a mystery writer, and they kind of did a fictional account of him. Fredrick Forrest and Peter Boyal were in this. This got a 6.5. I almost want to bring this down to a 6. If you're into the 50s, 40s, 50s type of crime movies, it's kind of reminiscence kind of movie, which was kind of nice. If you're not into that kind of thing, you're not gonna. It's the genre is not gonna be you. You're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it. That's the way it's gonna work for somebody that's not into those kind of movies. Frederick Forrest and Peter Boyle were in this. I think I said that already, so my apologies if I did. And then because of that movie, I decided, you know what, we'll watch a Humphrey Bogart movie. Dark Passage, 1947. This got a 7.6. Basically, a prisoner escapes and is on a run. And the third of the, I don't know if it gets to halfway. I'll definitely say a third, and I don't want to give away, is it's different, is you see through the eyes of Humphrey Bogart, but you don't see Humphrey Bogart. There's a reason for it. Don't want to like give away anything on it. But he's on the run and ends up running into Lauren Bacall, who helps out hide him and basically accused of murdering his wife and kind of like who really did murder his wife. Did he? People kind of run into him. And cat and mouse movie. Again, it got a 7.6, and again, with it being Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall. But like I say, the original, something that was for that back in the time and a movie of today, just how it plays out the first, like I say, third to, I don't know if, like I say, halfway through, you don't see Humphrey Bogart's face, you just hear his voice. And there's a reason, and like I say, I don't want to give it away. But I thought that was original. I thought that was something that, to be honest, I'm surprised. I'm leaning towards there are movies that have done it, where all of a sudden you don't see the person for how many minutes, and then all of a sudden you do. Something I should look into, possibly. And then my last ones are Cuban Gooding Jr. movies that I just thought I'd throw them in here just to cover them. And it was just one, but the way it was when I watched this movie, it seemed like almost not the exact, but the way it played out, it kind of was the same movie, but a different kind of plot. So I watched Absolute Deception, and this newspaper writer, Emmanuelle Vaugier, goes to Cuban Gooding or works with him to try to figure out what happened to her husband who was killed. And so it becomes a cat and mouse movie. It's got a 4.2. I don't know about 4. I almost get the other movie I'm about to mention, Endgame. I almost say you can use this. That got a 5.1. And with Endgame, Angie Hammon is in this one, and the president gets killed in Cuban Gooding Jr. In the first one, in Absolute Deception, as a federal agent. In the second one, he's a Secret Service member. And again, cat and mouse. He has to figure out what happened. And like I say, it seemed like both movies. I looked, and it's not different director and different writer. I almost felt like they're one or two has to be the same person, and no, it's not. But it just, for, if you watch both movies, it just has this, it's like, okay, this seems to be almost along the same thing, just different characters and executing the president instead of executing a successful businessman. And so, cat and mouse. So, those are the movies. I have more to cover, but I want to get at least some movies in and talk about the employment scenario and hopefully give some thoughts there that maybe some people can pick up on, or see if that's helpful for anybody. And I hope upcoming week everybody has a good one. Thanks.